Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Auto Tutorials by Levonotion Studios. This is Super Sam once again, and in this very episode, I'm going to show you how you can use NLA for animations in Blender. So let's get started. Alright, before we move on, I want you to understand one or two concepts about using the NLA in Blender. The first one is, I want you to know there's something called action. And this action is more like a bucket where your keyframes are being stored in Blender. I'm going to show you that now. So I have this cube, and I want to create a very simple animation with this cube by, let me see, okay, this is the y-axis, so OG. And I'm going to keyframe, single keyframe here, and I would go to 21 and probably just change the position of the cube right here. So this is the basics of animation. I just lay down the keyframes, right? Now, if you take note of the information I have here, I have something called cube animation. This wasn't there before, and that's because I'm under the action editor. If you're not under the action editor, you won't see this. Yours might be here by default under the dope sheet. Change your dope sheet to action editor, and then you see the name of this current action. Now by default, I have the action named as cube action, but I'm going to change this to move. Okay, so now I have an animation, right, for this cube. If I play back, I can see my cube move from left to right. So that's the first concept. Now the second concept is, to work with NLA, there's something we call strips. Now these strips are more like a container for your animation, a container for your actions. Now, you know, the action is like a bucket, a container for the keyframes. Now the strip is like a container for your actions as well. So it means that two different strips can use the same actions depending on whatever effects you want to achieve. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. All right, so we have the first one here, which is the move. Okay, I want to create another animation, but this time around, I want the cube to go up and down. Now, to create this animation, I would make sure I have my fake user checked first. The advantage of this is, when you have a fake user for an action, it preserves the animation in that action. So when next you launch Blender or you launch the file, you still have your information, even though the action is not used by any object in your scene. So that's why it says, save this data block even if it has no user. So you create a fake user for it, right? So I'm going to check on this to create that fake user. And now I can cancel this off, okay? So if you want to go back to your move action, you can just click on this icon, and then you will see this F move. The F means this action had been saved as a fake user. So when you see F in front of whatever you saved, just rest assured that you're going to get that information anytime you launch your file. All right, now I want to create another one that makes the cube go up and down, and I'm going to name that up. So let me start by making sure I know the axis. This is the Z axis for up and down. Alt G to reset back to default, and I'm going to set a single keyframe here, and then I'm going to go to 21 and set another keyframe by pushing this up. Okay, right, and single keyframe. Okay, so now when I play this animation, you see the character goes up. Okay, I can make this faster by bring this in. So copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paste. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paste, and can delete this out. Okay, so when I play this back, I have up, down motion. So it's time to rename this as up. And don't forget to always create fake user for your action. So I have two actions now. I can confirm that by seeing this. I have an action of a move, and I have another one up. So I have two actions. Now, these two actions are enough for me to work with in my NLA, right? because it makes sense. If I'm only working with one action, there's no point using NLA. I mean, what's the point? But when I have two or more actions, then it makes sense to work with in NLA. And now this is how you create your NLA. Now for this action, I'm going to click on push down. Okay. Now, by the way, this is the NLA tab. You can get this by just changing the information here to non-linear animation. That is NLA. So just click on that and then you have this. So once I click on the push down, it yanks off my animation from the action editor and then creates this strip for me in the NLA. So this is the strip. You can see this is the strip. And if you look onto the end panel here, by the way, you can get your end panel by punching on the N, right? So if you don't have your end panel open already, just punch on N on your keyboard. You have the end panel. So by selecting on this, it makes the up the active strip. And that's what you can see here. Active strip is named as up, right? And when you scroll down as well, you can see the action in that particular active strip, and the action is up. It looks confusing now because I have everything named as up, but trust me, this action can be changed to something else. Now, to prove that to you, when I play this currently, you can see that my character goes up and down, right? And that's because I have the action of up. Now, if I change this action to a different one, which is the move, my character is going to behave differently. Now you can see the object is moving forward. Okay, so let's change this back to the up action because that is what we want. Now I need to bring in the move action as well to create that as a strip. Now to do this, I'm going to change this back to move, and I'm going to punch on the push down button as well. So now I have the move strip and I have the up strip. Now the NLA works like editing a video. If you're used to any video editing application, then NLA should really make sense to you. So I have two strips here, right? Whatever I have in here would affect the one underneath and the one above it, depending on the information here. You can see the extrapolation mode and the blending mode. Now, I'm going to show you how this works by actually working on this character, so it makes more sense, because when I give you a verbal explanation, it might not really make sense, and that will take a lot of time. So let's just get to it now. So when I scrub through, you can see that I have a blend between the up and down of the character motion and the forward motion of the character. And this is because I have replace on, and in addition to that, I keyframed each of these attributes using the single keyframe, which means that I'm not trying to keyframe every channel in the location axis, the rotation axis, and the scale axis. So that means if I'm adding Y from the move to Y from the up, it's going to give me the value of Y from the move, because I only have Y from the up and down and not the move. So the Y on the move will be 0. Okay, I don't know how this would make sense to you guys now, but okay, let me try. I hope I get this so you guys understand better. Let's go back to up. Now for up, I only keyframed the Z axis, right? Now the next frame, that's frame 6, I have 347 centimeters for Z axis, right, in this up animation. But if I come back to move animation, this information is not there because it's not keyframed, right? It is 0 because it's not keyframed. So that means 347 from the up animation strip will be added to a 0 from the move animation strip. So at the end of the day, you still have 347, okay? So that's how it works. But then if you have a value keyframed on the Z axis for both move and the up strip, the values will be added. And then that's when this information carries with the replace. Now it's going to ask you, do you want to multiply, subtract, add, combine, or replace? So that's when this blending mode actually makes sense. Okay, so let's get back to action. So Now that I have these two information going well, I want to make something out of this by duplicating this up and down. But first, let me just take this up in order to show you that you can change the position of your strip. So I'm just taking this up, right? So up is going up. That makes sense. Now for this up, I would like to duplicate it. And this is to show you that there are two ways of duplicating. The first one is the normal duplicate, and then the second one is the linked duplicate. As you can see from my screen here, the normal duplicate is Shift D, while the linked duplicate is Alt D. So when you use the link duplicate, it means that when you edit the linked duplicate, it affects the original one as well. But when you use the normal duplicate, it doesn't affect it. It creates a different strip for you and a different action. In this case, by clicking on the normal duplicate, I have up.001, which shows that I have a different strip already, but I'm going to prove that to you now. So let's go to our list of actions to get that. Now, initially we had two actions created, the move and the up, but now we have a third one, that is the up.001. Now, this is the information in that particular action. It's the same thing as the previous one, which is the up one, because I took it from there, right? Now, when you click on this, making it the active strip, I can also get the information here. Now, this is where things get complicated and fun. You can see the name of the strip is up.001, right? And that is what you can see here, up.001. And the name of the action inside the strip of up.001 is up.001. That is the name of the action. Now, I want to change the name of the action here to up2, up_2. That tells me the second version of up, right? So I'm going to create a fake user. Don't forget that, create a fake user. And now I have up_2. So when you come here now to check the action clip, the name of the action is now up_2 and not up.001, even though the name of the strip is still up.001. And you can see that from here, right? Up.001. So this is the strip name, and this is the action name. And like I showed you the other time, I can change this action to any other action, right? Inside this strip. So I think it's time to change the name of the strip as well, just for consistency. So I make this up_2, and there you have it. Now I need to change the animation in it so you can actually see that tweaking the up_2 wouldn't affect the up at all. So to do this, I'm going to make sure I select on up_2. Then I can go to my graph editor to make this faster. I'm just going to select all the keyframes there and push this up a bit. So I want it to be higher. That means I need to zoom out. Okay, I think that's fine for me. And then I can change my values here. 0, replace 0. Let's just go back to replace, 0 it out, and then replace. Okay, so now I have a higher up animation in the action up2, right? So it's time to blend this, and let's see what this is going to give us. So I'm going back to the dope sheet, and I'm going to cancel this out. So everything is blank, right? Now, the feedback I'm getting now is from the NLA, because there's nothing in the action. Nothing is playing in the action, just the NLA. So now the NLA is active at this moment. I'm going to turn off the first up. So this is what it looks like when you mix the second up with the move animation. You can see the character is going higher. But when I turn off the second up animation, and I want to use the first up animation, you can see the character is going lower, right? So that tells you that I have two independent up action strips and actions. I have two independent up action animation, right? So now it's time to show you more features with this. With this NLA, I can decide to speed up my animation or make it slower, right? But in this case, I want to speed it up. I want to make the time, the length shorter now. So I'm going to change this from the action clip. Here you have action clip, collapse that, and then you change the playback here. You can see the playback scale. So I'm going to change that to 0.5. So let me just type that in, 0.5. And I'm going to do the same thing for the one up here too. So change it to 0.5, 0.5. So that changes the scale for me. And then I can push this one to the end here. So that means when I play this, I'm going to have the higher jump first. And then when I get to the second up, I'm going to have the lower jump, right? So let's see how that works. But from here, you can see that my higher jump is not even showing because it's turned off. So I'm just going to turn it on. Now you see. But what happened? As soon as we got to the up, everything went low. That's simple. Click on your strip and then check the information you have. Now from my information, I have under extrapolation, I have hold forward. Now when you hold forward, it means that it's going to take into consideration the last position of your object at the end of the strip, and then it's going to make that position constant all through. Okay, that's the meaning of hold forward. So when I scrub down to the last point of my up to animation, you can see that my character is right on the floor, right? And since I have hold forward on, when I pull through, when I keep scrubbing, it retains that position along the y-axis, which is the 0 position. That's why the character remains on the ground position. That's one thing to note. Then another thing to note is if you look through, you can see that I have this orange-like color grayed out along this strip. It means that this strip is still active all through. Now, to change this, all I need to do is simply change from hold forward to hold nothing. So as soon as I did that, you can see the orange grayed color disappears. That means I can now have access to the lower strip, which is the first up animation. So now you can see everything works fine the way it should. So I have the higher jump and then the lower jump. Okay, so this is how you work with your animation strip. And this strip can be taken up. You can change the position like I showed you. Just go to track ordering. You can remove empty animation data. Then you can tweak. I can tweak this, for example. Just go to start tweaking action strip. You can do that, but I hardly do this. Instead of doing this is what I like to do. If I want to change any animation here, I just come straight to the action I want to edit and I edit straight up. Yeah, so as not to mess up your edits under the NLA. Finally, I want to show you how you can also blend your stuff, but I'm going to use that using a character that I actually worked on. So I'm going to bring that up for you to see. NLA was used greatly for this project, and as you can see, when I scrub this, let me change this so you can see clearly and have a faster result. Let's go back here. Okay, so as I scrub this, you can see the character moving and then stopping at a point. I'm going to zoom in for you to see what is going on. So I have this action strip of what the character hand is doing. I have a different action strip of the root of the character moving forward. I have a different action strip of the man walking at a spot. He's actually walking at a spot with this animation here, right? And then this takes care of the roots moving forward. And that gives you the illusion of the character moving forward, as you can see, right? Okay. Then, the blend mode can be gotten from this part of the window. When you click on your end panel, and you can see the blend in here. So by default, I have a sharp transition between one strip and the other. So a sharp transition between the man walk strip and the man stop strip. And that's because in my animation, let me show you what the animation looks like. Man stop. Okay, so this is what the animation looks like for the man stop. It's just, okay, so I factored the easing out in my own animation, but some people might be maybe too busy or too lazy to factor this out in the animation. You can see I factored mine out. I actually animated the ease out, so that was why I used a sharp transition. But if you're somebody who doesn't work that way, right? If you want the sharp and kind of animation, you can easily use the blend mode to your advantage. So what the blend mode does is it helps you create an ease into a particular strip. As you can see, while increasing this blend in, you can see this line. I don't know if the video capture would capture the line. You can see the line coming in, right? So it's just going to ease into it like that. So let me cancel this and let's see the effect of that. So it's just going to ease into it. You can see it's easing into it, right? But it's messing up my animation because I already had that factored out in my own animation, right? So it's easing into it. But let's take this back to 0 and see the difference. So it's sharper that way. So that's how you use your blend mode. So what else? What else on NLA? I think that's the major information. So I think I'm going to call it a wrap here. Okay, I hope you've learned one or two things on how to work with NLA, and I hope you're going to repent from just animating without NLA. This can make your life easy. Trust me. A few months ago, I worked on an animation that has about 6 characters singing on stage, and that would have been a pain in the ass if I was to go by creating this animation without NLA. So it was helpful for me to make sure I have a basic motion, and this basic motion was used via NLA for all the characters. All I just did was adding 1 or 2 variations, and then NLA helped me in combining this animation, and at the end of the day, it all looked unique because each of these characters has their unique character already, all thanks to NLA. So this is what I'm going to call it a wrap. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel if you've not done so, and until next time, keep your creativity blending.